Sit, turn, type, sit. Good boy. Ruff.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Well. Guess who's making a return back to the building? Our boy Brian Excel. Well, he kept his promise.
That's second,
back to back. Shit. I'm about to play lotto now. Shit, I'm about to see if I win some money today.
No doubt.
To get some bread going in. So we talked about it last week on the episode. We wanted to discuss what would go into the mind of Brian Excel in today's modern wrestling if he was in that position. Well, he's in the position right now with HOG's House of Glory. Check them out. Cinco de Mayo, big show coming up, man. They just released some breaking news for this upcoming Sunday, May 5th. The Cruiserweight champion, Casey Navarro, is going up against the man himself, Laredo Kid. That's a good booking right there. That's a nice match.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah. Make sure you check those guys out. Tickets are still available. You could go to tickettailor.com for tickets. Tickets are still available. 5 p.m. start time, so it's a good time to go in there, do your thing, come out and get your drink on. You still got time to chill. So we're gonna go and we're gonna ask the booker. We're gonna talk to the booker today, our boy BXL. First of all, of course you're hands on with the majority of stuff that goes on there, but it's not often that we see an indie promotion that's really tied to storylines and such. How are you able to keep the pace with that?
That's a good question. I think it's super important. You know what I mean? Sometimes, people don't follow storylines when it comes to fans. You know what I mean? Sometimes there's fans that appreciate storylines. You know what I mean? I think that to be able to keep the fans coming back, you definitely should add some storylines because the fans get invested on whatever is gonna happen next. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely is important to put some storylines and some guys on the roster for sure.
Yeah, because for me, I would think about it more about I think as maybe as a promoter, each time you're doing an event, you're bringing new eyes to the product. You know what I mean? You're always looking at a new audience. So indie wise, a lot of booking for them is just basically let's get these dream matches, let's get these super matches going on. But you guys have always been consistent to having storylines. I mean, one of the biggest storylines you had last year when we mentioned was the Booker storyline when the Bookers came back. Another great storyline you had was Charles Mason and his rise to fame and such, and what he did. Do you often get some kind of comments or compliments and such, or maybe from the fans when they're going along with what's happening with the shows?
Yeah, absolutely. You can see them in the comments, and a lot of times, at the live events, they'll tell you how they feel. You know what I mean? They tell me all the time. The characters that they support and stuff like that, and just the whole thing, the reaction from the fans, man. When we keep these stories, like you said about the Mason, even with Mason and La Sombra, you know what I mean? Like the hardcore match they had when Mason lost that belt, that was months, you know what I mean, of storylines. You know what I mean? I think that they're super important. And the way the fans act when I see them in person, they all invested in it. You know what I mean? Every time I talk to the fans, they always bring up some storyline that we doing. You know what I mean? So I know that that's working.
So how is it that, I mean, of course, it's always the pop the crowd gives, the chants. You know me, I'm vocal as hell when I'm on there. So you already know. I come up with my sign and I have my sign and everything. I know. You've thrown my sign around a couple of times and such. But even still, you've grown to see and know that the crowd has become more important to what the basis of wrestling is. I'm not sure whether if you really focus on other promotions and stuff, or even today's current main shows or whatever. Are promoters staying in tune to what the fans are into. For instance, WWE finished Cody's story. So do you find it that are we still um gravitating to what the audience wants, or is just whatever the dream matches are there for?
No, I think the storylines are important, and WWE is good at that too. You know what I'm saying? And AEW does it sometimes, but obviously, there's a lot of times, AEW just do a lot of dream matches. I mean, they got so many great guys on their roster that it's like I'm not trying to compare them to PWG, but it's like a company that has like so many great wrestlers that look at the Bryan Danielson versus Osprey. That
Mm,
right there, that's a dream match. You know what I mean? I feel like they could have built it more. You know what I'm saying? But even though, look what they delivered, the match was crazy.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So, obviously, I think it just depends. You know what I mean? There's some fans that want to see those dream matches, and there's some fans that appreciate the storylines. You know what I mean? I think, you could always build a match to make it bigger. Like even with the Santana and Ortiz, I feel like they
Mhm.
had so much there. Like, you know what I mean? There's so much history. AEW reached out to us to give them some footage of obviously, um LAX was with us, Santana and
Mm.
Ortiz, for a couple of years. So we had so much footage, so we just started giving them footage. But I feel like just that alone, I feel like that's a whole year storyline that they could have got from these guys. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
because fans were super, invested in it.
Yeah, that's one of those missed opportunities I feel should have been there, could have been there.
Yeah,
There was opportunities to where especially knowing the interpersonal relationship of them, um
yeah,
the fall of the breakup and such, that they could have they could have capitalized on it. So when
absolutely.
you're looking at today's landscape of the mainstream wrestling and such, do you ever tie what's going on up there and possibly, like, not to say that it's ripping it off, but it's basically taking a little piece in here and using it for HOG, for House of Glory?
Nah, no, I don't. To be completely honest with you, I don't watch AEW and I don't watch WWE. Not
Hmm.
not because I'm just not in. I'm not a fan. Like, you know what I mean. Like, obviously I'm a fan of wrestling. I love wrestling, but sometimes the product, what they produce, sometimes is just for me. I just can't watch it. You know what I'm saying? And that's been going on and off for years. Like, you know what I mean. So even before House of Glory, like, you know what I mean. There's sometimes I can't watch it unless it's like, a match that I want to watch, or one of my guys, Private Party, or I mean, somebody I support. I want to see what they're doing, and then I'll tune in. You know what I mean? So I can't sit here and say that I copy anything from them because I don't know what they doing.
Yeah, I get it, because it's I do the same thing when it comes to the podcast. I can't, unless it's individuals who already been in the business for years on out, like say like a
Yeah.
Cornette or a Bischoff or guys like that. I can't listen to any wrestling podcast that are on my level. I can't, because then I start believing that I'm gonna start sounding like them and thinking like them, and it gets
Yeah,
a
I
little
get
bit construed. But for you, although you're not really on the scope of what's going on, but you do recognize that there is some great talent on there, and you've
absolutely.
found your way. You found your way to bring said talent to that way. Are you on the pulse of the indie scene? Like, who's the hot guys these days? Like recently, you guys brought in Blackwood, and Blackwood has been hot for a minute, man. And
Mhm.
I was happy to see that you guys finally brought him in. Do you keep it? Are you involved in what the indie scene is like?
I think a lot of times, you know, there's certain individuals that they they how you say that word? The word means something to me. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So if they be like, oh, look, check this guy out, he's doing this thing, then I'll go and check it out. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times I don't know what's going on in the indies. You know what I mean? But sometimes, obviously, there's some people that come on your feed. You know what I'm saying? Or like on IG and stuff like that. And when you keep seeing the same person, and then you go look to see what the person's doing, and you see him everywhere, or he's killing it, having great matches, automatically I would want to bring him in to the New York crowd to, get a piece of that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, for me, it's just like if you hot on the indies and you doing numbers and stuff like that, obviously I would want to bring you in. You know what I'm saying? I think putting you against one of my guys, it helps everybody. It helps put money in your pocket if you the wrestler, and it brings some eyes for both of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's it's a good dichotomy that you have going on with that because not only is House of Glory a promotion, but it's like we mentioned before, it's a wrestling school,
Yeah.
and for you guys to even have and give those opportunities to your guys, your in-house dudes, and um, put them in matches and get their feet wet for what the next possibility, the next level is has been great. What's your criteria when it comes to booking these matches? So we mentioned AEW putting together dream matches and such.
Hmm.
You're looking at the spectrum. You have a Casey Navarro who's on the come up on that side as well, and especially nowadays when they're here today and boom, they could be signed tomorrow. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
has it been something for you to be able to know exactly when you're going to bring individuals in and set them up to the right match setup and such?
I just think is depends on the individual. Like you said, like, if they're making noise out there, what I mean, I want to wait my turn to bring them in. What I mean, at the right moment. What I mean, it's always at the right moment. You don't want to bring in somebody that people really don't know. You know what I'm saying? For me, because I already got my guys. What I mean, so if anything, I'm bringing other people that are making noise out there to go against my guys. So like it's a case of Casey, right? The kid is talented. What I mean, I think he's a great talker. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think he has the package to make it to the next level. What I mean? He has a look, he could talk. That's all you really need. He could wrestle. You know what I mean? So for me, it's just like also the size. You see, he's small. So obviously I feel like he works good with the cruiserweights. You know what I'm saying? I feel like in my guys, I got a lot of high flyers, so I'll put him in that category to kill it with my guys. I think when a guy is more bigger, it just depends who you are. If you're bigger, then I put you with this guy. If you're smaller, I put you with this
Mhm.
guy and see how it matches up. You know what I mean?
You've given, like I said, you've given a lot of your boys opportunities and such. For instance, the main event, you guys have gotten them from day one, and they've been touching ground everywhere. Like I've seen them hit the ground running. They're doing big
Yeah.
things. Shout out to them, man. Midas and Lion, man. Those kids
Yeah.
are killing up. How does it I mean, I know it makes you proud to see when they're achieving their greatness and stuff, but how is it when you're like a dad and when it's time to let them go, you got to let them go? Like, how does that feel when those moments happen?
Oh man, it feels good, man, because those kids put in a lot of work. Like, you know what I'm saying? You gotta think about this. When those kids were coming up, they were waiting their turn. They had to sit back and watch Private Party. They had to sit back and watch Lucha Bros. They had to sit back and watch LAX going back and forth for the titles. You know what I mean? For the tag titles for House of Glory, because those they were a part of our tag division. All
Hmm.
those guys before AEW came along. So these guys was just sitting back. And then, when they had opportunities presented, they were going through their thing. But they was like, they just waited their turn. So now that I see them where they at, they deserve everything. They obviously our tag team champions. I'm representing they merch now. Like, I feel like those guys are really good in this character. I'm a big fan of character when it comes to
Hmm.
wrestling, and the circus and all that. That's thinking out the box. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like they could go against anybody and have great matches. If you see that they won they wrestled the Briscoe brothers and RIPJ, man. Like, that's one of my good friends. His last match was against Main Event, if you didn't know
Yeah.
that. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's just like I put these guys against any tag team. You know what I mean? They're gonna be able to hold their own. You know what I mean? But one of my favorite matches with them was against the Briscoes. You know what I'm saying? And I'm proud of them, man. They're killing it.
Do you think this day and age, the new up and coming, the young kids, they're afraid to embrace gimmicks. They're afraid to come out and maybe test the waters with different styles, different ways to be presentable to the masses. Most of them, they all come out. They always look like initially they're doing backyard wrestling. Like every time I see them, they always come out that way. But do you think they're afraid, or do you even help with the development with that as well?
Absolutely. I think character is super important. For me, if you want my advice, I feel like character is everything because everybody looks like they wearing the same thing or doing the same moves. Like, how are you supposed to stand out? You know what I'm saying? I was having this conversation with somebody the other day how character, like that girl that Storm Tony
Tony
Storm,
Storm. Mhm.
yeah, she's killing it. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because she'll be on my timeline. Like, from I go watch some of AEW, like a clip on AEW to see if I want to grab somebody to put one on my show, and then
Mhm.
they show her like black and white. So, for me, it's like when I seen that and I seen who she was, I'm like, wow, this girl came along. She's a different person. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So who she was before. But right now, I heard that the person I was having a conversation with, one of my guys, he watches. Obviously, he's in tune. He's saying that she's killing in AEW. You know what I'm saying? And that's just that character. Once you turn that character on, it's like people are so invested in that. You know what I'm saying? So if you coming up, you know what I mean, and you feel like you want to like look apart, come up with a good character and go full force with it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, really go full force, and I promise you it's gonna work out for you. You're gonna stand out more than anybody. You know what I mean? These characters, I think wrestling has got back to that. Yeah, I mean, you have the wrestlers like the Ospreys and, like I said before, the Brian Danielsons and, you know, of the world. But then there's also characters, and if you look at the characters in WWE and you look at the characters that AEW, they superstars. People who love, you know, obviously us as fans, all of us, right? We you know, it's different now, right? So
Mm.
it's like we already know fans sometimes, you know, and I had said this in another podcast, you know, I said something like fans are smarter than the wrestlers, but I didn't mean it to say like that. I mean like fans know what you're gonna do next. A lot of
Hmm.
fans, they could
Right.
watch a match and know what you're gonna do next. So for me, it's just like when they see character, they're like, well, okay, now I'm entertained now. Now I'm entertained. Like I don't know what this person's about to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? And they be more invested into to the promos of the character itself than the actual wrestling. You know what I mean? So it's just like people want to be able to get entertained, and for me, this is why I feel like, you know, these characters are important. That's why I was doing it so much in House of Glory, and we're gonna go back to that soon. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like that's the future. You know what I mean, of wrestling.
Yeah. I know I've known you for man, X amount of years, and one thing that I've known that you do exclusively is like you usually stay out of the limelight. Like you do a lot of let the wrestlers, let your talent, let your students be in the forefront. You know, you've
Yeah.
had your moments, you had your matches, especially those times where you know it was a part of an elevation to drawing in the audience, bringing in the crowds, helping to putting another talent over and such like that. You've been real good with that, but you've been real low key. Other than that, I don't really see you hitting up the the socials and taking down, bashing other promotions, other companies like that. You've been real low key with that. You know, you stay out of that garbage. Um, with Tony Khan recently, he's been very uh exceptional with taking pot shots with at the rival company. So quote unquote, is it good for business? Does it help business, or is he putting is he putting a spotlight on the negativity on his promotion?
Uh, I will say this. For me, I'm just in my position. I'm not in his position. I think maybe if I was in his position, things would be different. But I'm in my position. You know what I mean? And for me, I think, you know, I don't go and bash nobody. And that's not what our House of Glory is. Well, that's not it's there for. Like, you know, what people are doing is their business. It's not none of my business. You know
Mm,
what I'm saying? I'm just worrying about what House of Glory is doing. You know what I'm saying? And so for me to put anybody down or diss anybody on social media, that's just not my thing. It never been my thing. Even personal, like I wouldn't do that. If somebody says something about me on social media, I'm not gonna reply to that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find out where you gonna be at an event or whatever, and I'm gonna show up. You know what I mean? And I want you to tell me what you said on social media to my face. You know what I mean? And
right.
maybe we can have a conversation. You know what I mean? Because back and forth on social media is not gonna help nothing. Like, you know what I mean? We just both gonna look stupid. You know what I mean? So for me, I just rather handle the situation head on and face to face, if there is a situation. But
Yeah.
for me, when it comes to Tony Khan, I think that you know, when he made that remark with WWE, I think that that's smart. He was on the at the NFL draft. He was on the
Right.
NFL Network,
Mhm.
and that's a whole different audience. That's not a WWE audience, or that's not an AEW audience. That's an
Mm.
NFL audience. There's people that love football that don't watch nothing else. No baseball, basketball, nothing else. There's wrestling fans that love wrestling and don't care about UFC, boxing, and none of that. Like, you know what I mean? So he's talking like, you see how, if you notice, I watched the clip because you told me you was gonna, we was gonna have this conversation. So I
Yeah.
watched it, and then it's like, when see what he's doing, look what he's talking about. Dynamite, 8 o'clock, the Wednesday nights. He's promoting everything he's doing. Rampage, or he's promoting everything he's doing. That's genius. Like, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So for the people that are NFL fans and don't really watch wrestling, but they know what WWE is, because I think most people know what's WWE or WWF, even if you're not a fan, right? Because it's a big, company. It's a monster. It's a beast in itself. So for me, I feel like he did it smart. He'll mention WWE, because of the fans that don't know who he is or don't know who AEW is. They're gonna be like, well, I know what WWE is. Oh, there's another. Oh, AEW. Oh, there's another company. That's a wrestling company. Oh, they going back right there. You got them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now you know who AEW is, because there's times that I'll ask people if they know what AEW is and they don't know, but they know what
Yeah.
WWE is. You know what I'm saying? So if you had that opportunity, he had that opportunity, and he sat there. I'm not, I don't know about that whole Harvey Weinstein thing that comment he made. That's for you guys to judge. For me, I'm saying that by him mentioning WWE, I think that was a good move on his part to be able to promote his brand on the same level as WWE, because most of those people probably don't know what AEW is. So by him
Yeah.
mentioning it, now they know what AEW is.
Promotion equals promotion, right? That's all it trickles
100%,
down
and it's
to.
on the
Yeah.
NFL Network. You know what I mean? Like this, it's a draft pick. The whole NFL world is tuning in, and for him to promote his brand was the smartest thing. That was genius.
Yeah, I remember the early days of HOG. I remember when you guys were on the come up. Wherever y'all went, y'all had the shirt on. Everywhere y'all went. Yeah. It was an easy promotion. Everybody just asking questions like, what's that? What's going on? And you put your eyes on the prize and let everybody know what the come up was and what it is. Is it more right now keeping it level with sustaining your audience, or is it the fact that you know that gate got to keep getting bigger and bigger? You got to start looking at the bigger picture. What because you not only you have a Cinco de Mayo, not only you have the show on the 24th, but now we're going to Boston on the 25th. You're touching ground there. You get you know that those gates are going to get bigger. How is it that you're able to keep that going?
I think it's just sitting down and putting a plan together. You know what I'm saying? I think, for me it was like, I was thinking about going a different direction. You know what I mean? And then I said, you know what? Let's before we even do anything, let's try to go out there and spread our wings, because we never did that before. You know what I'm saying? People have been asking us for a long time, like, when you guys are gonna run outside of New York. You know what I mean? Like I said before, like I was just comfortable being home in New York and running events and doing very well. You know what I'm saying? And I think now this year we want to be able to like grow. You know what I'm saying? And go run events, more events outside of New York and see what happens. Worst thing that could happen, it just doesn't work. And all right, cool, we come back home and then just keep doing what we're doing. But I think it's I think for everyone, and even the guys on the roster, everybody wants to branch out. You know what I mean? And I feel like if we do it together, we gonna be able to do some numbers, man, and do very well in these different locations.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's not a race. It's a marathon, and I always tell
Facts.
people that. And it's when it comes to achieving what you want, or even greater, it doesn't happen overnight. If people want the turnover overnight, it doesn't happen that way.
No.
But before I let you go, WWE just had releases, and it's about that time, and it usually happens that sometimes you got to let people go. It happens that the creative has nothing for you. And I've known that through the years. There's certain instances where you've had guys that had to leave as well. They had to go branch out and do their own thing. Um, is there ill will? Is there any and feelings on lost love with your former students, your former performers, your former wrestlers and such? Is there any reconciliations that happen, or is it just like, yo, you do you guys? It's cool.
Yeah, with me, I only can only speak for myself. You know what I'm saying? And and I mean this, like, God knows I'm not lying. I think every student that stepped in House of Glory or was a part of House of Glory, and it's not, I have love for them. I have no hatred in my blood. When I go out there, especially if former students, like you said, if they wrestle in House of Glory and they're not in House of Glory no more, and I see them doing their thing out there, like, I love it, man. Like, you know what I mean? That's my boy right there. Like, you know what I mean? Nobody gonna be able to take that away. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's always love, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not with that. Like, it'd be super fake if I was. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, it's just like, you spend your hard earning money to come and train with us, month after month, year after year. Like, how would I try to like look at you a certain way if you decide to branch out or if things didn't work out? You know what I mean? I will always root for my guys. If you represented the orange and black one day time in your life, I always gonna support you whatever you do. Even it don't even have to be students, just anybody.
Right.
Like, if you support a House of Glory, man, look, I'm here doing this with you. Like, you know what
Right.
I'm saying? And that's the reason is because you've been with us from day one. I mean, people will look at me and think otherwise, or I'm not worried about nobody, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't look at nobody's product. I'm not angry with nobody. I'm blessed, man. From where I come from, man, I'm blessed. Like, you know what I mean? So that wouldn't make that would be stupid of me if I'm worrying about the next man. Even outside of wrestling, I never worry about what the next man. That's not in my blood. I'm not worried about what you're doing. I'm worried about what I'm doing. You know, I'm going against myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? And trying to see how we can make this thing bigger. And you know, and that's what it's about. Like, you know what I mean? So anybody that was in House of Glory or trained with us even for one day, like I always gonna have love for you for even choosing us to train you and believing in us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody's perfect. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? We live in a crazy world, man. Nobody's perfect. And, you know, there's always love here, man. From me, there's always love. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that, even from Red, too. Like, I don't hold no grudges, man. We don't hold grudges with nobody. I mean, if you hold grudges with us and you think that we thinking some other, then, you know, you wrong, man. I'm telling you this right now, you wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's no grudges here, man. You know what I mean?
No,
It's
it's a
love.
it's a beautiful thing because you know you always hear when, especially on the main scale, with people get released from certain companies and such like that. Everybody already has you know ill will, you know, the negativity start flying out, and it's like you know it's business, man, and that's what it
It's
usually
business. And
happens.
you know what's
Yeah, it's
crazy? That
business,
they let you go, and I bet you if you're killing the indies 1 year, 2 years, they're gonna call you right back.
right? Yeah.
Nah, they're gonna call you right back. You come out here, you get released, and you go out there and you kill it. And the good thing is AEW is there. So it's like you
Mhm.
could, if it's about money and you worry about, you know, obviously, you know, we gotta feed our families. You got a company like AEW that come and give you a bag. They'll give you money and sign you. You know what I mean? So you could be secure and you good. But when it comes to WWE, man, you go out there, you kill it. You know what I learned about WWE, man? It's really business. You know what I'm saying? It's like 100% business. So if you out there and you killing it, they're gonna call you right back. They're gonna want some of that, and they're gonna call you right back. You know what I mean? And it's like if you notice, a lot of people left and came back that
Yeah,
they
yeah.
signed back. You know what I mean? And if CM Punk could go back to WWE, anybody could go back to
Anything's
WWE.
possible. Anything's
Anything is
possible.
possible, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Obviously, it hurts when it first happened because, you know, you had the dream job, you there, you traveling the world. Like, if you in WWE, you know, you've been watching the product. Most people, I will assume, like most of everybody on that roster, been watching wrestling since they were kids, and to be able to be around it and be signed to them, it's just a dream come true. So it's hard, you know, when they let you go. But if you go out there and you grind, man, you keep God first, man, they're gonna call you right back. Or you go to AEW and TNA or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's options.
I always look forward in a positive light when I see releases because then I go, well, after 90 days,
Yeah.
I see you in House of Glory. I see you in House of Glory. But B, good
They
looking out, man, as
yeah,
always, man.
man.
Good
Nah,
looking
of
out as
course,
always,
bro.
man. Like I said, this is gonna be a probably a
Let me ask
2 week,
you
maybe a
something.
month
Let
thing.
me
Yeah,
ask you something.
sure.
What do you think about Swerve winning the AEW belt?
I thought it was a great accomplishment. The kid, I mean, like I said, from his first days when I first saw him and HOG and then his grind on the West Coast and then making his way to WWE. Unfortunately, he
Yeah.
got released from there, and it was maybe good tidings that it occurred. I know right now, Triple H is like holding a fist, like, damn, I wanted to keep him so bad.
That
And
kid is on top of the world right now,
to
bro.
see what what they did with him now, it's a great thing. The only thing was is that I wish they would have gave him his flowers on Dynamite. He cut a promo on Collision, and that's not where the eyes are at. The bigger eyes on Dynamite, and they booked him for a match, and they gave him a competitive match that day against Kyle Fletcher, and I think it should have been one that you had a moment that it was celebratory. Everybody
Yeah.
was with him. They rolled with him. They were in his house. And shout out to Nana too, man. We know Nana for years, man. And for him to get to where he's at too, man, it's hilarious, bro. But
Yeah,
it's a
man.
great and hilarious. It's a good feeling with him, man. It's
hundred
good to see
percent,
them
man.
both
That
do it.
those I feel like without one, we won't be able to. Like, I think they have the peanut butter and jelly right there. That's the
Yeah.
only. I feel like that's the only way it would have worked having those two guys together. You know what I mean? Nana dancing in the background, and you know what I mean. Like I think that they work really good together. And I see fans, complaining about that. Like they didn't give him his flowers because he didn't talk. Obviously I think I could agree with that to a certain extent. But sometimes, man, we compare WWE, AEW too much. Just because WWE would do it, that means that AEW has to do it. You know what I'm saying? And I agree with I agree. I think he should have did Dynamite. I think he should have talked. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like it's bigger than that. Like, you know what I mean? He won the world title. Like, you know what I mean? We talking about Shane Strickland, Swerve.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I knew him for a long time, man, and we booked him like in 2011 or
Yeah,
2012.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? And to be able to sit back and see this kid being the world champion, man, it's just an amazing thing to watch. You know what I'm saying? And even though with me, when it comes to AEW, I think that they should definitely go the route. There's so many belts, right? So I feel
Mhm.
like you see how WWE back in the days, like they would make like The Rock or Stone Cold or Triple H. You know, it was a build. You know what I mean? They had them go to get the Intercontinental title and then the World title. You know what
Right.
I mean? I feel like a lot of these guys like MJF, they went straight to the World Championship. You know what I mean? I feel like longevity. I think it would have been smart to put like these guys to do for the small titles and then build to the big title, because now that he's the world champion, he's the world champion now currently. What would you do with him next? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is he gonna still be on that world title level, or are you gonna bring him right back? Obviously, they could do different things and having the storylines with different people, but it's just like if I'm happy for him. I'm glad he has the world title, but I'm saying like they should have built a lot of these guys with the smaller titles to be able to create longevity for end up becoming the world champion instead of just
Yeah.
putting the world title on these guys.
Yeah, it's the
You know,
same with Cody. When I looked at Cody, who also went through the hollow halls of HOG as well. I got the poster up here, but that night that he pulled up, and we got the story done. And then now everybody's like, "What are you gonna do now? Were you just gonna
yeah,
be throwing him matches until you could get him back into a legitimate storyline again?" And
yeah.
he's white hot. He's white hot. Face right now. He's their poster boy. With
Well,
Swerve, I didn't think much about, I didn't think much about the whole first African American champ. I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking
me
more
either.
about him and his
100%.
chronological career of what happened
Yeah,
and what got him there. And I think that's
yeah,
why I said the crowd was with him and they should
yeah,
have gave him that time. But I mean, at least they gave it to him in Collision. They gave him that moment somewhere along
yeah.
the line.
And hopefully moving forward, they're giving them because he could talk. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And he got Prince Nana too. Nana could talk too. You know what I mean? But yeah, I never look at stuff like that. Like because he's the first African American. I never get caught up in stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think that he's just because I knew him for so long and I know all the work he put in. A lot of these guys, you know what I'm saying? And to be able to see him become the world champion is just dope to see. And he doesn't change either. Like he stays the same. When I talk to him, he's the same person. A lot of these, a lot of people, they end up making it somewhere, and it's like they change. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, like I said, I have a lot more that we talk about. Like I said, I want to do this when you're free. I know you got a busy weekend, of course. You be in New York, Cinco de Mayo, touching down. Like I tell you guys, Cinco de Mayo, you don't want to miss it. Doors open at about what you can say, like 4:00, because you guys, you be iffy sometimes.
3:30,
It be iffy sometimes.
like
Any
at
meet and
3:30.
greets? Any meet and greets? We doing meet and greets
Yeah,
that day?
I'm trying to do a Lucha Libre meet and greet. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Have all the luchadors have a meet and greet and stuff like that. I think it should be cool.
Oh, you guys are gonna turn up the boy. If there's anything that happens in Queens, that section out there, they love their luchadors. They'll pull up. They will.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm surprised you didn't do that one at La Boom. La Boom is where the lucha would
Yeah,
be
you
at.
know what's crazy? That Red told me the other day, right? He sent me a message. He goes, "We should have done this in La Boom."
Yeah,
I'm like, yo,
yeah,
why I didn't think about that?
yeah.
And it's crazy. It hit me right there. I
Perfect.
said, yo, bro, you telling me this right now, and it's just like I didn't even think about it. I said that would have been perfect for La Boom. Crazy.
But speaking of, on the 24th? You guys are La
24.
Boom. What happened there?
Yeah. So we was in the NYS, obviously at home, and they asked us if we could be able to move the venue. You know what I mean? Because they had something going on and stuff like
Okay.
that. And
I
for
figured
me,
as much.
that's my home. You know what I mean? So if they need me to do a favor, I'm gonna make it happen. If I could be able to move somewhere else, let's go somewhere else. Because they move mountains for me. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Those are my peoples over there. So if I need a favor or something like that, and they don't let no wrestling there unless it's me. Unless it has to go through me. Like if somebody contacts them, they'll be like, talk to Brian. Like we don't want nothing to do with wrestling. If Brian says yeah, then you can do a show here. If not, this is Brian's house when it comes to wrestling. You know what I'm saying? So, they always shooting me good. You know what I mean? Those are my peoples. Like, you know what I mean? So if they needed like, yo, look, we need it for 24th. Can you make this happen? Of course, I'm out. We go
All
to the
right.
boom.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I figured as much. I figured it had to do like more bookings because I was like, ain't gonna miss. People ain't gonna miss that. You got names pulling up. You got AJ
Yeah.
Francis pulling up. You got Matt Riddle returning on the 24th. It's gonna be big at La Boom. Tickets are available. You guys are still get the tickets available at tickettailor.com and
HOGwrestling.net.
HOGwrestling.net as well. And of course, if guys are in Massachusetts, that area in Boston, they'll be there on the 25th as well. There's a whole litany of HOG wrestling going down the line. Bro, once again, like I said, I'm gonna hit you up in a week or so. We're gonna do this again. I got more questions for you. I want to ask you questions about booking women's matches. Who do you look at on the radar that when they come off? What's the best way? We got a bunch of shit to talk about, man.
Yeah, I'm with it, man. Let's try to do this every week.
Yeah, guys. Much more to talk about, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stick around. And for you people watching the live stream and such, we'll catch up. See you guys later. And once again, thanks again, B. Much love.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon.
Later.